Hello everybody, this is Lori Cooch. I am the admin of the Cricut Craft Room group on Facebook. If you are not currently a member, please pop on over to Facebook, search for Cricut Craft Room, join our group. There's a lot of great women and some men in this group, and they're full of help and insight and ideas, and it's just, you won't regret it. And you can share your ideas there as well. So a lot of people have came to me lately and told me they're brand new to Cricut. The books confuse them, Cricut Craft Room confuses them, and they just don't know where to start. So, that being said, I'm making this video. I'm going to use the Life's a Beach cartridge because it's one of my favorite ones, but needless to say, it doesn't matter. The books are all pretty much the same. If you're using just your machine and not using the craft room, you need the overlay. If you're using Cricut Craft Room, you will use what's on your screen. So if you're using the overlay, the gray buttons here are your feature buttons. These are going to tell the machine to do something. And the white ones are your features, your images and your letters and the things that you can make. So it gets a little confusing if you're brand new, but I'm hoping to clear that up for you. So just using your overlay, I'm using the Y. Here's the book that came with the cartridge, and I flipped to the Y. So a lot of people don't know how to get these different features that they want to do. So it's super easy. If you just put this overlay on your machine, oh, and I should say first, every overlay, even if they don't show the letters on them, like this one does, it's a normal standard keyboard. Just like your typewriter, just like your laptop, it's a normal keyboard. All the letters are set up the same way. So that's always good to know. But if you just put this overlay on your machine and you hit that button, you would get this tiki if you hit the Y button. And this one just happens to show the tikis and the Y. So if you hit that button and hit cut, it's going to cut, those three tikis. If you hit the shift button and then that Y tiki button, you're going to get a Y. So anything on the bottom is without shift and anything on the top is with shift. So let's say you wanted a lowercase y. You would hit the special feature button here that says layers. You would find it on your overlay and you would punch the layers button, then the shift because it's up on the top, and then the Y, and it's going to give you the lowercase y, okay? If you wanted the tiki faces, you would just do the layers button and the Y button, and you'd get the tiki faces. Now, everything on this page is going to be from this one button on your mat. It's just going to differentiate between what feature you choose and if you hit the shift or not, okay? So if you wanted this little icon here that says Tiki Tropics, you would choose title words and that button, the Y button. I'm just going to call it the Y button. And you're going to get Tiki Tropics. If you hit the border feature and the Y button, you're going to get these little borders of tikis. Okay? These ones don't have a shift. There's nothing available up here. Some cartridges are that way. So you wouldn't get anything. If you hit shift and the Y, it's not going to put anything on your mat. If you hit the photo card button and the Y button, you're going to get this little photo card with the tikis in the middle. And the square card and the Y button, you're going to get the square card. Charm and the Y, you're going to get a little charm, like a necklace charm with the tiki in the middle. If you hit the charm and the shift and then the Y, you're going to get a Y charm, okay? So it's really easy. You just follow the book. Just know anything up on the top is with the shift and on the below is without shift. Now here's some other things to look at on your thing. There's your shift button down here and your shift lock. You can put a space between your things. You can backspace. You can clear it and start over. You can reset all. You can repeat your last cut. You can turn the sound on or off on your machine. You can load your last project. You can set your paper size, which if you don't know that, I'm going to grab a mat real quick. When you're putting, if you're not using Cricut Craft Room and you're putting your piece of paper in your machine. So I'll just grab this here. Say this was my piece of paper. You're always going to start with the bottom left corner to the top. So even if this was a half a piece of paper, I'm still going to put it down here. And then you're going to move your carriage using the arrow keys on your machine to this top thing here. Or if it was down here, wherever your top right corner is, once you've put the bottom left corner on your mat, then you're going to hit, let's move this out of the way, you're going to hit set paper size. And that tells it how big it is, because when you're using your machine without Cricut Craft Room, it's always going to think that this top right corner is where your paper is going to start at. I mean, some of the other machines like your Explorer, or not Explorer, your Expression 2, they have different features on them that I'm not going to get into, but where you can set it portrait or landscape. But if you just have it normal, right out of the box, it's always going to go over here and think this is your starting point, unless you tell it your starting point is somewhere else, okay? Then you can load your paper and unload your paper. These features on the right hand side, these ones over here, are the same for every overlay, okay? These ones over here are going to change. Well, your shift and your shift lock are going to be the same, and your paper saver and your real dial size are going to be the same. But these feature buttons, those can switch out based on which cartridge you have, because some have more features than others, okay? But you just look at the overlay and you're going to figure it out really quick on what you need to do. So now let's say you were actually using this in Cricut Craft Room. So you have the same things. Oh, I've already brought in Life's a Beach. And if I go to the basic, and let me take this shift off. So it says show shift lock or hide. We want it hidden right now because we want it just plain Jane, brand new, turned it on. So here is that Y button, and you see the 3 tikis, okay? That's what I would get, just the same as if I put this on my machine and I hit the Y button, I'm going to get those 3 tikis. If I hit the shift, and then I'm going to get a Y, just like here, because it's up on top. I'm going to get that capital Y. If I go to the Layers tab, just like we went here, and I still have it on shift, I see a lowercase y. And if I take the shift off, I see the tiki faces. So everything that's in here is exactly what you're seeing right here. Nothing changes, okay? So it's the same. You can design it on your mat. The difference between Cricut Craft Room and putting it just straight in your machine, if I put this tiki face up here and I lower this, if I was doing this in my machine, I would have to put my piece of paper down here in the bottom corner, and it would cut out of that piece of paper. Remember? Because we put our paper down, we start at the bottom left, and then we tell it where our paper size starts. And it's going to start wherever I tell it is my top right corner of my paper, okay? But in Cricut Craft Room, wherever it is at on your mat is where it's going to cut. If I leave it right there, that's where it's going to cut on my mat. It's not going to look for a starting point. It's just wherever I have it, that's where it's going to cut. I can move it around. I can put it over here. And I could put a red piece of paper over here. And I could come here. Go to basic. Hit those tikis. Because if I wanted to put a different color over them, because see, they're going to line up. Oh, they're not going to line up. But they do, I guess. I don't know. If I wanted to do, regardless, if I wanted to cut this in black and I wanted to cut this in red, I could just put a black piece of paper on my mat here and a red piece of paper on my mat here and put it in my machine and say cut, and this isn't going to care. It's just going to cut exactly where I tell it to cut, okay? So I hope that makes sense. Let me know if you have any questions. I feel like I've kind of just rambled, but if you have any questions about anything in the books, just let me know. The other thing that I know people have problems with is the real dial size, and it's really not that difficult. You know, if you look at this, it tells you that the character shown in red is the key height character. So it's looking at this Q, and it's going to base everything on that Q. So if I put 4 inches and I have real dial size turned off, it's going to assume that everything is proportionate to that Q being at 4 inches. I may not even have a Q in what I'm typing, but it's going to proportionate everything around that Q being at 4 inches tall. And if I put a small case E, it's going to make it a small case E. Let's just show you. So if I have real dial size on relative, okay, and I'm shifting, oh, and I put this at 4 inches, it's going to do the same in your machine, by the way, too. And I put this Q up here. I'm going to move this out of the way so that you can see that if I put this up in the corner, this is 4 inches tall. From the top of the Q to the bottom of the Q, I am at 4 inches. That is on my 4-inch line. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now, if I did, no, sorry, a little Q, and I put that on my mat, that little Q, well, it's a bad example because it's got a hangy downy. Let's do an E. E's are easy. That E is not 4 inches, right? It's relative to the Q. So if I was to write this and you were writing in penmanship, it's going to be relative. Your lowercase letters are going to be smaller than your capital letters, okay? But if I take that E away and I turn the real dial size on and I hit that same E, I've got to find it because we're getting further down the mat every time we hit something. And all I did was turn on real dial size. It says this E is going to be 4 inches tall, and it is 4 inches tall. Okay, so that's all the real dial size does, is you just look in your book and you find what the relative, the biggest item on the mat is, and it's going to tell you that. It's going to circle it in red, and it's going to base everything proportionate to that one letter. So if you were writing all in capitals, that is your biggest letter on here, and it's going to proportionate. I cannot talk, you guys. I'm so sorry. It's going to make everything proportionate to that Q. And I'm pretty sure you get what I'm trying to say, even though I'm rambling, and I apologize. So again, Cricut Craft Room group, Facebook. Find us, join us, like my posts. I'm sorry, like my YouTube channel, and I'll keep posting some videos for you guys. Let me know what you want to know how to do, and I'm happy to do it. And if I don't know it, I'm going to figure it out for you. Okay? Have a good night.